Politics. This is douglAR politics, yo. douglAR politics. Listen, douglAR politics, yeah. douglAR politics. This is douglAR politics, yeah. douglAR politics. This is douglAR politics. douglAR politics. This is douglAR politics, yo. douglAR politics.
Good evening and welcome to douglAR Politics, and happy Emancipation Day to all of Trinidad and Tobago. Let me just ask you a question as we continue, as we all understand that emancipation is a continuing process. One has to continuously be vigilant to ensure that freedom is enhanced, maintained, monitored, and moves further to provide opportunities, because 440 years of debilitating, decimating, degradation of an entire race, a human race of African people, abused, tortured, their families stripped apart and shredded, culture, religion, everything gone. The devastating effects and impacts of that cannot just dissipate easily. It will take another 400 years to overcome all of the pain and the gaps that were left in African communities throughout the diaspora and here in Trinidad and Tobago. But let me just ask you a question. And it's a little brain teaser. And it's something that always sticks in my craw, because I love facts, I love information, research, and positions that are based on intellect, conscious thought, and information. Dr. Eric Eustace Williams was the foremost scholar on the transatlantic slave trade. No one else came close. His friend was second brightest, and they used to debate all the time at Oxford University and so on. He researched everything in detail. He had more information on the aspects of the transatlantic slave trade, its origins, its impacts, the finances, the economics, the deleterious effects on villages, on nations, on kingdoms of African people, the transatlantic crossing, the effects that took place, where people were dropped off, from which villages, from where, and how they were decimated and dissected and separated, how they were oppressed and how they were battered, and the self-esteem was shattered to ensure financial gain for the oppressors. Dr. Eric Eustace Williams was the man who knew the most about that aspect, the transatlantic slave trade. Well, then I have to ask you this. If Dr. Eric Williams, as we agree, was the most intelligent, most known, most researched person on the planet about the effects of the slave trade, and he gained power in Trinidad and Tobago in 1956 and had unfettered power for 30 years. If he knew everything there was to know about the transatlantic slave trade, he would have known exactly what populations of African people were missing, what was stripped away from them, what was taken away from them, what had decimated their bonds, their unity, their community. How come Dr. Williams did not fill those gaps? How come Dr. Williams did not put things in place to repair, to replenish, to reassert the greatness of African people in Trinidad and Tobago? By this I mean, why did he not authorize, legitimize, and legalize the African religions? Why did he leave them illegal? Why did he not put African history in our primary schools and secondary schools? Why did he not enhance African culture, African art, African music, African museums, African history museums? Why did he not bring African people together? Why did he not bring Shouter Baptist religion and Orisha and make schools and let the children know where they came from, uplift themselves and promote themselves? Why didn't he enhance African connection with African trade and oil and so on? Why did he not create music and culture for African people? Why did he not promote the African deities and educate? I'm asking you all this because he did not. In fact, our political history is replete with others of East Indian origin who showed more respect for African, Pan-Africanism, history, culture, religion, music, art than Dr. Williams. So why would he do that? Please answer me. You don't want to know why? Because all his intellect was utilized in a manner to ensure his political expediency, his political maintenance of his political power. And therefore, he replaced all the religion and the music and the art in the African community in Trinidad and Tobago with a refrain. Great is the PNM. Great is the PNM, and it shall prevail. If you go into the houses of your grandmothers and grandparents of African people, you will see two pictures in the living room. Over the couch that is covered with plastic, and a little dinner table with candle and thing, you'll see two pictures. A picture of Jesus and a picture of Dr. Williams. And you know, in most of those houses, the picture of Dr. Williams was placed, if not equal, a little bit above Jesus. That is the cult that was created by Dr. Eric Eustace Williams. Understand that. And if you read your history and understand, I want you to argue with me, show me different. Why was it that Dr. Williams banned Stokely Carmichael from coming back to his homeland? Why did he ban Kwame Ture? Why did 1970 occur? What was the position? If you think that PNM represents African and PNM is emancipation and PNM is freedom, how come the black revolt, black power in 1970 was against the PNM? How? And if you want to tell me that PNM is African because Rowley like to pretend that it is, black people have to vote for Rowley, please tell me, over those 30 unfettered years, and out of our 60 years, 61 years, out of the 50 years that PNM has reigned, please name for me and send in the comments black billionaires, African billionaires that were made by the PNM and PNM contracts and PNM largesse and PNM given opportunities. You can see many billionaires that are not African made by the PNM. Many. I can list them off for you. I want you to list the PNM black billionaires that were made. You see how difficult it is? Because the PNM is not about Africa. It is not about promoting African history and African culture and black people. The PNM never was. It was about mamagaing people, creating a false sense of security to ensure that PNM wins political power. And when they get political power, they use the resources for those at the top to enrich the rich and leave everybody else. Why do you look at African communities across Trinidad and Tobago that have voted PNM throughout their history, even in 33-3? They voted PNM. Highest unemployment, lowest education, worse infrastructure, worse public utilities, highest crime rates. Are these things just fluke? Or is it a design, a systemic failure that is PNM? So as we start douglAR politics and we celebrate Emancipation Day, the emancipation is not done because you replace an oppressive regime with colonials, and after the colonials you brought the PNM. And that is a fact. And I dare any one of you to show me differently. When African people have moved up and gained opportunities in education, business, moving forward, it's when the PNM was out of office. Check yourself. Anil cannot make this up. So happy Emancipation Day. Continue the emancipation. Dr. Williams really was one of the top 4 brightest people in the world. He created a cult and a movement designed with a symbol that makes people coalesce no matter how pain, how much suffering, how much wrong is done to them. They still sing the refrain and they still dip their finger automatically. That is the work of Dr. Eric Williams. Very bright man. Don't get tired. That is genius. You understand? There are other geniuses who told people that the supreme race is X or Y, but then he didn't look like that, but he too. South Africa whips Calypso girls 69-28. Netball, you know. Y'all know that we were world champions in 1977. Joint world champions. You know that. With Jean Pierre, Castaneda, and so on. We were the best, most creative, full of flair. We had the Maradona and the Messi of netball. South Africa beat our netball girls 69-28. Let us soak in. And then think about Rowley is in charge of sport with Shamfa. Pro Cup sets eyes on big swim from Tobago to Trinidad. It will be a long, watery haul, but the legend of a slave who escaped a Tobago plantation by swimming to Trinidad has prompted conservationist John Prokop to swim the channel from Tobago to Trinidad to raise awareness for climate change. Mr. Prokop, God bless you. You ain't gonna make it. Forget that. All right, my brother? You'll get some hype, something. The currents are so strong, you're not fit enough. You don't have the technique to make it. It's nearly impossible, okay? Even for the most skillful. So while you might get a little thing, you might get what? You'll go further than Watson Duke. Watson Duke went about 400 meters. You might swim for about 10 hours and not really reach anywhere. But good luck. I don't want to, I like the effort, but you must do realistic things. When you talk about sport in Trinidad and Tobago, an opportunity that we have gone, they're boasting and they're doing caravan and spending money on advertisement on youth games coming, Commonwealth Youth Games. They didn't prepare none of our athletes. They didn't spend any extra money. The netballers had to do training by themselves and sell curricue and barbecue and all kind of thing. We in a total mess. We hoping in the swimming pool that Nikolai Blackman could come and win a medal for us. We hoping that some track and field athlete will get God on the shoulder and win a medal. No preparation, no investment in the athletes, but money spending all over to spruce up, to clean up. 80 million here to refurbish, 30 million there, 40 million there. And a set of millions spending to advertise Commonwealth Youth Games. That makes no sense except for those who making money without procurement legislation. While we are doing that and we have Shamfa and Rowley, look what's happening in the rest of the world. Our children have to compete with this, What's this little baby? What's this little thing? My goodness. Watch it. Look my boy in the back there mirroring it too. Right? 5-year-old Chen Xiang, ping pong wizard. That's who our children have to go and play with when they reach Olympics, That's the sort of level. Where's the investment, the time, the coaching? Where are we? What are we doing to be able to compete? The PNM knows nothing about merit, whether it's in education, whether it's in business, whether it's in construction, whether it's in government, whether it's in cabinet. The PNM is anti-merit. Those things about merit, we have to get our children as good, if not better than that. And it takes brain, it takes discipline, it takes effort. No sign of Omari. Rough sea stopped search for 9-year-old boy. Then Tyrese swept away trying to rescue sister. The search continued yesterday for a 16-year-old boy who was swept away while in the waters of Mayaro, as he went to rescue his sister from difficulty on Sunday. Now when Fitzgerald Etelbert, Bodybag Sativa, Sleepy, Narcoleptic, Hines, Pomsite Rasta was in the Senate, and he came to answer question about lifeguards, and the lifeguards have been complaining since Stuart Smallpin Young was the Minister of National Security, that they're underpaid, under-resourced, overworked. you know what Fitzgerald Hines come to say? They buy 3 jet ski. When I asked them, well, how much beach we have in Trinidad and Tobago that we just use? The president of the Senate said that don't qualify. But they had 3 jet ski. 3 jet ski cannot even man Maracas and Tyrico, that stretch of bay with hundreds of people in the water. What about all the other beaches from Cedrus, Los Iros, come across Mayaro, Manzanilla, coming around the entire coastline, down the islands, Tobago? 3 jet ski, you know? That's what they have for you. And then every holiday we have to see this. Children dying, drowning, citizens drowning, and lifeguards begging out for facilities, for equipment, for manpower. They were working overtime. 1 lifeguard to monitor 3 Mile Beach with about 50 people per mile in the water, and the next 200 out the water to go in the water. And we continue to do this and have no problem with it, losing people's lives. That come normal. No lifeguards at beaches where incidents occurred. Many people are wondering what occurred in TNT's coastal waters over the last few days that led to the drowning of a 60-year-old woman at Damien Bay and the disappearance of a boy 9 and a teenager at sea. While the hazard rip currents are entirely natural, the intervention of lifeguards could save lives. However, at the 3 beaches where the incidents occurred over the weekend, no lifeguards have been posted in these areas by the Ministry of National Security. And the PNM has confidence in Fitzgerald, Etelbert, Pomsite, Rasta, Narcolepsy, Body Bag, Sativa, Sleepy Hines. Elections have consequences. Impassable. Road collapse. Rowley's had to apologize for road now. Repairs underway. Ministry of Rural Development workmen at the site along the Brazil Arena Road, Brazil Village, which collapsed on Tuesday. On top of that collapse, no phone or internet service. Another blow for Talparo residents. F. Foster Cummins, why you don't take out your venture credit union 4.4 million and 1.8 million and go and help the people in Lauketa Talparo? Kamal Georges, Senior Manager of Corporate Environmental, Social and Reputation Management. Kamal, wow, boy, you are real title boy. All that for laying down with a cougar boy, you real good. So children, don't go to school and get bright. Don't get masters and PhD. Look for a little old lady who need a sweet red man and go and deal with that and get a big work. That is where Trinidad and Tobago reach. Kamal Georges, you have no shame. Let me hear what Kamal Georges say. He said via text message that the company was aware of the landslip which collapsed the road, damaged its underground infrastructure on the Talparo main road. He said crews were dispatched. So that he walk, right? Wassa, crews sanitized. Remember last week, douglAR Politics? I told you Port of Spain. Sewage is running by the financial complex, all Chacon Street, all over Port of Spain. The minister of man, so busy measuring the inseam with Ecliffe Eli. He said, yes, we're looking into it. We're trying to deal with the stench. Wassa sending crews to sanitize the streets, you know. To water flowing through our capital city in 2023, you know. We welcoming a king. We welcoming a king to our shores. And the PNM has tutu water flowing through the streets of our capital city. A state water provider, Water and Sewerage Authority, WASA, yesterday reported delays to critical repairs at the Beetham wastewater treatment plant. People walking in downtown Port of Spain complained about the stench of sewage as manholes continue to overflow in parts of the capital city. You heard it first last week, Tuesday, on douglAR Politics. I tell you, it's not a joke. That is what the PNM is. The PNM is a stench emanating from within the bowels of our country, our darkest areas, and the PNM must be removed. Rowley apologized for roads. Archie, you could believe that? 8 years. Road collapse. Roads all across this country. Geographical discrimination by Keith Christopher Rowley. Lack of maintenance. No cohesion between the Ministry of Public Utilities, the Minister of Man, who knows nothing about WASA and did not know that leaks break pressure and therefore water can't go up the hill. This man and the Minister Rohan Sinanan, who only know about how to build road to Hipam Zanilla and building $250 million highway to see Monkey and Guti with Iguana and a big roundabout, and you turn right, you end up in the bush. That Rohan Sinanan for all you. And the Minister of Man collapsing the infrastructure of this country for 8 years. For 5 to 6 years, over 4 billion gallons of water have been gushing out under our infrastructure from leaks in WASA that is headed by the minister who don't know that leaks break pressure. He also don't know that water that undermine foundation. He knows nothing. He spends all his time looking for man in van with the golden hand and then trying to get a new suit from Ecliffe Eli. But here, Rowley, run it.
I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that 2015 to 2022 were about the most difficult period in the history of independent Trinidad and Tobago. One of the things that suffered during that period was the road maintenance program. Not that we deliberately didn't maintain it, but on the list of priorities, we maintained the main arteries through the Ministry of Works, hundreds of millions of dollars. But the secondary road program suffered. That I have to admit, that I have to apologize for, and that is the reason for it.
Now, there's so much there in such a short clip from a total pathological lying imbecile. Number one, 2015 to 2022, he spent over $405 billion. He spent more money in that 7-year period than any prime minister in history. Number one. Therefore, for him to say the times were hard and we did not have money is a total lie. He spoke some truth in there because he spoke about priorities. His priorities of the cabinet is not to take care of you. He didn't come there to make sure that your health system functions and you get medicine, that your children have gates so they could study, that you are safe under security with diesel and Coast Guard and radar and a security dome. He didn't come there to ensure that your children could take part in sport and utilize their talents and fulfill their dreams. He didn't come to make sure that you all have grants for differently able, for the blind. He didn't come there to ensure that pensioners could be seen about. He came there to ensure that his friends and his financiers get contracts, that his ministers get recusals. He is the #1 prime minister in the history of the Caribbean for cabinet recusals, which means cabinet ministers who are benefiting from decisions being taken by cabinet. His priority was to build and make sure that Noel Garcia could spend money, every cent, and build airport, hospital, central block, health facility, community center, police stations, fire stations, sports stadia, Red House, refurbish those magnificent 7, build President's House, Tobago Prime Minister residence, and every house in Trinidad and Tobago, including Skinner Park, 131 million. That was Rowley's focus, that Noel Garcia, one man, must spend all your money. His other focus was to procure vessels, crash the sea bridge, send home the Canadians BAE, give Magellan, who is a Sarabai of a PNM, the contract, Express and Spirit crash down, mash up the sea bridge, mash up Tobago, then he and Stuart Smallpin go and spend $1.5 billion of your dollars to procure vessels. That was his priority. When he lied and said the port board didn't find any vessels, and they had found 11, of which 4 were very satisfactory vessels. Rowley's priority was to ensure Petrotrin shut down, to ensure that the investigation into his friend could go nowhere. Rowley's priorities was to ensure that Nikwan, another PNM financier, could get assets of the country at chicken feed, could get the gas of the country at chicken feed, and then flop. Rowley's priorities were not about serving you, not about using your taxpayers' dollars for you, but he told you that. But just like Manning, all you didn't listen to Rowley. All you didn't listen to him when he said, you have to wean off the government. The money, your taxpayer dollars is not for you, not for medicine, not for Panadol, not for oncology drugs, not for dialysis, not for your children to get textbook. That man cut textbook grant that Tim Gopi Singh and Kamala had. 133 million for you, your money to for textbook for your children. That man cut it by 100 million a year for 7 years, 700 million. That man cut gate to pay your children tertiary education from 726 million under Fazal Karim and Kamala to 300 million, 426 million by 7 years. That is nearly nearly $3 billion. That man took your money, wean you off of your money, and sitting down there telling you he had different priorities.
Why he built in this country has to be built by the government. Every school, every health center, every this, every that, because in this country, for the last generation or two, we've grown up on the government. Well, you better begin to be weaned off the government.
And you'll vote for that. So your hospital are no bed. Nurses, orderlies lifting up nurse when it flood in the ward to walk them through while pushing wheelchair through the flood water. Nothing in the hospital working. But Rowley Bill with Emil Elias, his contractor that Manning say is his favorite contractor in Trinidad, along with Warner Construction in Tobago. He built an administrative complex, beautiful building by the Savannah, the gorgeous. 50-60 million to what? To administer the pain that you are getting from the poor service in the hospitals. That's Rowley's priorities. And he tell you vote. This is the hospital. This is Mount Hope Hospital. Look at it. Well done, Archie. So the man a lie. And then he come to tell you sorry. So why you didn't tell me sorry about the Attorney General who lied and perjure himself in the US and then lost a case of $20 million because he didn't put in a defense and ball the file lost. And then you prioritize $800,000 for a report into a file that wasn't missing to be handed by the man who lied about the file missing. Rowley, your priorities was to shut down and make up and go to Houston and negotiate gas price and make NGC lose money for the first time. The man has no priority. This priority is not you. But yet he's telling you, vote for him. And some of you all taking that basket. Wake up. 10 feet of flood waters destroyed 2-story house in Palm East. Let me tell you something. As it rained in Trinidad, flood. 18 minutes in Westmoreland, 18 minutes in Shorelands, Glencoe, Carnage, 18 minutes and flood, 11 minutes and Citygate is underwater, and women in their nice work clothes, expensive clothes and so on, dirty walking through sewage water with flood water. Watch what happened with 18 to 40 minutes of rain in the south. Run it, Archie.
Standing in soul. Come first in window, you watch that. That van in total water. Look at that river. Look at that river.
flood on the main road. There's a flood. There is a flood on the main road. Lord, there is a flood. There is a flood. There is a flood. A flood. You too. A flood. Hope you could understand. It's not that I am a bad man, but I don't like to disappoint. And I live like to stop she from leaving me. And if you see she face boy, she real cute. And you know what a clan is a good crew. Time I tell she the whole truth. She just tune and hit me a hard boot. So there's a flood on the main road. Flood on the main road. I don't think God coming down at the relief is low. But there's a flood on the main road. There's a flood on the main road.
Total tequila there, 400 gallons, come on guys.
But there's a flood on the main road, yeah. There is a flood on the main road. Lord, there is a flood. There is a flood. There is a flood. A flood. A flood.
Now, my people, that flooding, that devastation did not come from any major earth-shattering climate change, dramatic storm, tropical storm, or hurricane. That comes from a heavy downpour, and that comes from total neglect, lack of expenditure, lack of care, heartlessness, lack of maintenance, lack of drainage, lack of planning, lack of preparation, lack of investment, lack of any form of leadership from the PNM in the cabinet, the corporations, local government, Mr. Tight Pants, Catwoman wearing suit, Faris Alapuya, Johnny Sukaran is worse at being a minister of local government and rural development than he was as an attorney general. And then he come now to pretend he decide he ignoring Rowley and he come to play flood politics. Run it, Archie. Let me hear Faris.
Guys, let me get 2 seconds. Those that hit here for the first time in 20 years this high. It's a significant amount. You have the Sipero River literally just on the side of us here. I want you to recall, because I see my friend Jayanti out on the road there, who will not even say hello. This is why we were having discussions about building housing in San Fernando in places including 3rd Street development. The UNC sees it fit to have injunctions on anything that resembles progress. If you go and you talk to auntie and uncle in the houses just here, they are applicants for decades inside of HDC for housing. So part of the regularization that we're looking at, you can't just treat flood zones as if they're not flood zones. You have to engage in a certain amount of relocation and resource allocation. That's why the continuous development of San Fernando is so important. So as you're passing out, ask my friend on the outside there why they see it fit to have injunctions to stop buildings from going up, or consultations to have them, because now you're seeing the effect of it. You're coming to places where people live, and I'd like to ask them right there. First time I've seen them in the field for 8 years. Go and ask them right there why the only appropriate action is to just block discussions for housing development when people who live in these areas need the assistance. This is, you have to connect the left hand and the right hand. So stop and ask them on your way out, okay?
Now, before I deal with his little toting, because Jayanti didn't tell him hello, poor you, Faris. Oh, God, she hurt your feelings, Tight Pants. First of all, he said, this area have flooded in 20 years. Then he come to make an argument that the PNM want to build houses and the UNC is stopping it. Because the PNM want to build houses to move people out of flood-prone areas that didn't flood in 20 years. Number one, Faris Harari, furthermore, you were on the HDC board when Keith Rowley was the Minister of Housing in 2003 to 2007. Andre Montai was the chairman. When y'all bought Greenvale property, Greenvale land from John Rahal without the requisite approvals from the Ministry of Integrated Planning and Development, Town and Country approval. One, for the change of use from agricultural to housing, Greenvale, and it was a floodplain area not suitable for housing, and approvals were denied. You were on the HDC board that went ahead, spent taxpayers' money to buy the land from John Rahal and to build Greenvale, where people is drunk anytime it's at a rain, and you come in to talk about what, building house to relocate people from floodplain? Then, Faris, you said what? You ain't see the UNC in 8 years on the ground? Why are you such a pathological lying idiot? The people are social media. The people could check. It's not like long time where they depend on the PNM mass media. The people understand that UNC under Kamla Prasad Bisesa, every councillor, every senator, every parliamentarian, every executive member of every constituency is always on the ground, immediately giving whatever assistance, whatever help to people who are flooded out. They don't see you, Faris, and you walk with your whole camera crew. You wear him walk with a bucket, a mop, nothing. You put on your tightest jersey and walk with your mama pool man to film you, and you come to talk. Faris, the people know y'all. You've been unmasked. Why you didn't walk with some of the taxpayer rent money that you're getting, the 23.5 million every 3 years by 247 million, and the 38 million you get to outfit your own building? Why you didn't take it down there for Tanti and Uncle who on the HDC list for so long? And how much house all you build? All you had Penny Beckers there at Minister House and she ain't build no house. You have this thing and you ain't build no house. How much house all you build? And what about when Rowley was there? How many housing projects, including Edinburgh 500, Harmony Hall, and down the line about 1.8 billion in projects? Wasted money, taxpayers' money, because there were no approvals, no authority. Y'all broke the law. Faris, you sound like such a blithering idiot. It's not funny. But don't worry. The people have seen you. And August 14th, your entire Sando Corporation gone. Because people sick of the PNM. They totally sick of the red. They sick of you and your mamagism. And I thought Rowley tell you don't play flood politics. Rowley don't visit nobody. He don't check nobody. He don't carry a mop for nobody. No Clorox, no bucket, no nothing. And you gone down to play that. And then on top of that, you vex. You trying to, you showing that you hurt. Because Giant here tell you, hello. Boy, fire burn you. Nobody cares about you. You old swell up bullfrog, run it.
I want you to recall, because I see my friend Gianti out on the road there. He will not even say hello. He will not even say hello.
Faris, we didn't come down into Coconut Drive this morning to talk to you, you know. Councillor Rishi Balram Singh and I, we went there to deliver some relief to the residents who had suffered terrible flooding yesterday and, you know, who say that they never see you, and who were all shocked and amazed to see that you actually show up. And then they remembered elections are just 2 weeks away. The point is, instead of coming with your hands swinging and with, you know, the media as well as your personal cameraman following you around, what you should have done is actually walk with some supplies the way we did. We were able to replace a water tank for a resident whose water tank got washed into the river. We came there with over 20 cleaning hampers to deliver to persons to get them a little head start with the cleanup operations while they wait on you and the city corporation and everybody else to get a move on. And we delivered hot lunches to over 30 homes and affected homes in the area of Lesotho, West Laramie, whether it was Riverside Drive, Padmore Street, Coconut Drive, Ramsaran Street, etc. So I don't know if you think that our only purpose there is like you to papi show in front of the media and all talk, but that's not what we're there for. UNC is about working, and we were there to work, and that's what we did.
Brilliant UNC woman. You understand? Faris. But smart term, changing the way schools handle business. Here it is. I saw this in the Newsday Business Day by Ryan Hamilton Davis. A 32-year-old entrepreneur, Jamie Hoyt, has dedicated a business, Smart Term, to supporting the digitization of educational institutions. Established in 2016, Hoyt said, Smart Term aims to transform schools by providing a digitized platform that offers analytics with a focus on providing resources that would be key for data-driven decision-making. The Smart Term digital solution is currently providing its service to 1,028 schools across the region with the help of a list of partners including USAID and the Development Bank of Jamaica. It is in the process of digitizing all education institutions in St. Vincent, Hoyt said. However, Hoyt said, in Trinidad and Tobago, more collaboration is needed between private institutions and government to optimize the logistics of managing public schools. She said with Smart Term, the entire public school system could be streamlined to allow government to make data-driven decisions on its education system. She says, imagine a child entering into school from kindergarten level, and from that age his or her information is entered into a system that is accessible to all the necessary bodies, she said. From that level, as they progress through their school journey, that information is taken with them from school to school. We don't need to imagine, my lady. Look at this. It was happening. Run it.
The future is here and settling nicely into the classrooms of Trinidad and Tobago. Indeed, it is a future that engages the minds of young people in ways that have begun to change the dynamics of education in this Twin Island Caribbean nation. The digital era has arrived, and it's one that excites today the leaders of tomorrow, preparing them with a different learning landscape than existed when simple teaching tools like chalk and talk were the norms. Starting with a laptop for all first formers, the government of Kamala Persad-Bissessar is committed to taking the gadgetry to higher levels, feeding the thirst for knowledge with a diet that scientifically positions the student population for a rapidly changing technological world. The wisdom of laptoping vividly displayed its proud characteristics at the recently held Virtual Educa Symposium in Port of Spain. Young and older ones, the students immersed themselves in what looked like a silicon setting, where familiar and futuristic electronics dazzled their little eyes and captured their inquisitive imagination.
I think what you're doing here is wonderful, and it engages us teens to know more about technology, and I recommend that they do more of this because it's extraordinary.
The art of non-linear.
So I'm just showing that's 2012, 11 years ago. Backwards is the PNM. It's so painful to watch that. Could you now imagine, like, I know it go hurt all you. Imagine if Kamala Persad-Bissessar had remained Prime Minister from then until now, without email gate, without EBC gate, without the lying mass media, without the lies of the warped independent institutions of Trinidad and Tobago that are poisoned with balizade juice. Look how far backward Keith Rowley and his government of dunces has taken us. Now, I know it's hurting all you, but you have to understand how important an election is, how important your vote is, how important. And when you go backwards like that, then you see why we in the situation we in now, with a crime scourge, lack of opportunities, lack of investment, weaning yourself of the government, lack of care, heartlessness. leading to a country that has run amok. Chaos is the order of the day. Backwards is the PNM. Wake up, people. And all they're running down is to try and negotiate New Deal. All of Rowley everything. Anything to do with gas, with oil, with bunkering, anything with money, Rowley there. But the man, he must have his interlocking directorships. All his Chinese gate neighbors must be in control of the money. Only a few people, and y'all just allow that. Y'all allow that, and they run down Dragon Gas deal. And the media rushed to tell. Remember a few months ago, 7 months ago, all they tell me about Rowley Dragon Gas deal and big thing, USA open some sanction and all they say to do that. And David Lee, Wade Mark, Jolene John, myself, tell you whole slow all your roll. What is this thing all you talking about? It had no deal, it had nothing to go, it ain't going nowhere. Maduro don't want it. There's no cash, it's nothing from nothing leaves nothing. Now Rowley say, oh gosh, Dragon Gas, it's dead, it's delayed, it's just like everything that Rowley has touched, that has collapsed. Look at another PNM fiasco that is going on in front of your face now. We brought it out, you know. Nikwan. We were telling you that this PNM Malcolm Jones invested your money without authority as an executive chairman of Petrotrin in World GTL, spending billions of your money, losing it. Allison due diligence, telling the government of Kamala Prasad, that is dead money, don't worry with it. Then when she assisted the PNM into office, she jumped out on a PNM board at the Port Authority, and then she went on the Nikwan board that purchased for chicken feed the assets that you had paid billions for 10 million US and 25 million in shares. And then Rowley told his Minister Franklin Khan, with the assistance of this small pin one who was advising on energy matters, and Rowley boasted that small pin was his main advisor and negotiator in Houston in 2017 also. They gave Nikwan Gill your gas, minister's share of gas that could be used specifically for them. They then somehow got 120 million US loan, and I'm asking you all, but how this company qualified to get this from Republic Bank? 120 million US, they ain't producing nothing, ain't buying. But Rowley and them signed. What they did was they had a take or pay. So whatever they would have produced, the government would have immediately purchased. So they went with that piece of paper and probably got the loan that was their collateral. Just like how Rowley gave Rahal a piece of paper that moved his asset in Renaissance down in Shorelands from 10 million. Joseph Rahal joined in 2003 August with Woodgill, Gillen and Woodruff and Woodgill. And they had been refused 3 or 4 times before to go up in the sky. But this nastiness, Rowley, as soon as his friend's son Joseph Rahal joined, he signed on the dotted line outline approval against the Cottersill from 1964 to go up in the sky, 2 towers, 15 floors each, increasing the asset base and the value of that property from 10 million to 850 million. This one here, this money man, this man who puts his priority on your money, spending your money, you must wean yourself of your money for him to do with it as he wants. But we told you all about Nikwan. Now they're asking, and we seen articles, David Lee talking about 250 million US in the hole, a debt by Nikwan. Actually, remind them that we spoke about it on douglAR Politics. But this now, Nikwan is trying to raise from the public, 175 million US. Nikwan Energy Trinidad Limited plans to issue 175 million senior secured fixed rate notes due in 2031. These notes repayment will be backed by revenues generated from an offtake agreement from NETL, which is Nikwan, and Petrotrin, a wholly owned subsidiary. On March 10, 2021, S&P Global Ratings assigned its preliminary B long-term rating to the proposed notes. Well, me, I know all of this rating. Very good. But I asking Mr. Gill and Miss Alison do diligence, Lewis, and yes, Alison Lewis. I want to ask the Nikwan board, what are they producing? What percentage? Let us know. We hearing reports. We don't want to hear reports. We don't want rumor. If you're going to the market to increase capital for people to invest, they need to know what they invested in. We hearing rumors that you're only producing at 22%, 24%. We seeing thing going on. We want to know if it's true. The last 10 days ago, I get a video fire in Nikwan. I hear people get fire from Nikwan because Anil get the video. I hear people get busted, people get fire. Is this true, Mr. Gill? Nikwan, I suggest all you answer the questions. What is that? Excess gas, excess wax? What is that? Is that normal? What you're producing at? Yeah, 99%, 100%. How much product you get? How much you're selling? What is your market? What is your margins? What is the price you get for the minister's share of gas? Because nobody else can get gas. Proman shut down 2 big plants, methanol, and 10 other companies shut down in Point Lisa. What price you gain we gas at? Minister's share from Franklin Can. Tell us, because we want to invest, Nikwan. Nikwan, what is that? Tell us, is that normal? What is we producing? Fire? Is cigarette lighter we making? What it is, we want to know. When we assets on them, how much you pay of the 30 million US. How much you raise and how much you borrow from Republic Bank, because there were reports that you were going to borrow 120 million US. How are the payments for that going? What interest rate did you get the loan at? What price you're getting the NGC gas from the minister's share from the PNM with? Since all here is a PNM company, it look like, with PNM friend and PNM independent senator and PNM PS. So we just want to know some PNM information, because if we're going to buy, we want to invest. If all you're good, we want to make money in 2031. That was April 2021. The mic back up? Right. Yeah. April 2021. And now on David Lee brought out that recently, a few days ago, 5 to 7 companies and Point Lisa shut down because of lack of gas supply. Small Pin, the clung again, talking about UNC mischief makers. Small Pin is the biggest idiot to ever reach near to the energy sector in Trinidad and Tobago. Since he was there negotiating with Rowley from the office of the Prime Minister in Houston in 2017, he went and concluded the negotiation with Rowley in Houston. And NGC made a subsequent loss for the first time in our history. The profits of EOG and the upstreamers went up 67%, and we went down 67% because it's a zero-sum game. Over 11 companies shut down in Point Lisas. Point Lisas moved from a high of 78% capacity in 2014 under Kamala down to 24% capacity. Now, man, don't know if they're going to stay, how long they're going to stay. Everybody looking to run Guyana and elsewhere because Stuart Smallpin is an idiot. The man then put his partner Loquan in charge of NDC, throw away 233 million on Atlantic and LNG Train 1 and another 250 million on some pumping project that they realize, wait now, we ain't need it. That is Stuart Smallpin Young. He was also the Minister of Energy when the divers went down in a pipe, and he was the leader who left people down there for 39 hours to dead. He was the man in charge, the Minister of Energy. He was also the advisor of Rowley in the office of the Prime Minister, usurping the authority of Franklin Can when Rowley decided to shut down Petrotrin, shut down and locked down and brought down 11,000 workers, and it's still shut down in 2018. 5 years now, Petrotrin shut down and mash up. He's also the man who helped Rowley move forward with Nikwan, with Gill and Alison due diligence. Stuart Smallpin Young is the one who brought Delcy and PDVSA and make Rowley go, I didn't know, Astrubal Chavez. Stuart Smallpin Young is the biggest blithering idiot in the history of the energy sector. He's a man who went on CNN Quest and tell them, well, all are we living good in Trinidad and Tobago, we have a good life. You have a good life, small pin. You and your brother with NGC Global Finance, when they came in and you swear on the Bible to be a minister of Rowley's K-Pax in September 2015, NCB Global had 0 public sector work, people. And within 4 years, 4 short years of Small Pin and Rowley's P&M, NCB Global, where his brother Angus Dotish Young, who can ride bike, was the CEO, got 4.2 billion in work. And the first contract was a loan, 180 million of UDCOT that was under housing, under Dillon. And Rowley gazetted it and moved UDCOT with Noel Garcia from housing to under the office of the Prime Minister. And NCB Global won their first $180 million refinancing contract. Now we are seeing interesting claims. And the Honorable Leader Kamala Persad-Bissessar brought it up in Chaguanas last night, that NCB, there are shenanigans going on with NCB Global, where Lee Chin was selling out his assets, move out, then come back, fire 2 men, and Guardian Holdings Limited. When we are asking, due to the investment, heavy investment of Trinidad and Tobago's PNM government with loans, loan financing, and so on, and its closeness and investment packages and portfolios involving Guardian Holdings Limited and many local banks, is there an imminent collapse coming? Is there some significant risk to our financial sector by what is going on with Small Pin Young Brother company where he's CEO? All of these things are very critical, dramatic, dangerous things that are brought about by decisions made by Keith Christopher Rowley, the worst prime minister in the history of the Caribbean. And as we talk that, look, KFC donates 0.25 million, 250,000 to tertiary students. Right? KFC. KFC is Christian Mute, Rowley's big man, Rowley's advisor, Rowley's chairman to the roadmap to recovery, Rowley's fella who started to take over and create a monopoly in the pharmaceutical industry, Rowley's fella who has made billions of dollars under Rowley while you, the people, suffer to even put food on the table. Christian Mute is boasting and sending a picture that he gave 250,000 to tertiary students. Follow that. He's the chairman of the roadmap to recovery. Under Kamala Persad-Bissessar, tertiary students were getting $726 million of your money, taxpayers' dollars, to help them study. Rowley and Christian Mute cut that down to 300 million, a shortfall of 426 million per year by 6 years. Okay? And then come to boast that they give $250,000. Oh yes, we and the dodo heads we clap. Yay, Christian Mute, thank you. Just like you give your workers a jalita and 2 pieces of chicken, you flipping idiot. Hey, these PNM are so sickening. If all you don't come out August 14th, I'm telling you, stop toting and vote them out. Don't tote, vote. Pan on a higher note, says the editorial. What? On the 3rd floor of the UN General Assembly building, is the editorial of the Newsday building in New York, sits 2 steel pan gifts from CARICOM. They were donated in 1995. Almost 3 decades later, the UN on Monday declared August 11 World Steel Pan Day, cementing the place of steel pan in the global sphere. Whether it's Pan Month or World Steel Pan Day, it's always good time to celebrate what is undoubtedly our national instrument. There is perhaps no better symbol of the 20th century. Testimony to the creativity of the people of this country, specifically people from Port of Spain, communities like Laventille and environs, Winston Spree Simon, Tony Williams, Ellie Manette, Bertie Marshall, Jonathan Francis, and Rudolph Charles all carved out the instrument as we know it. It is important to remember, too, the long history of suppression the steel pan movement endured. This was an instrument policed both by social mores, which denigrated anyone associated with the pan as a vagabond or worse, as well as by official law enforcement action. Again, pan, culture, African, PNM, suffer and oppress, bring laws to oppress the steel banning movement. But yet you telling me PNM is black man thing. PNM oppress the pan, thwart the pan. When they say the law, is the government, is the law, is PNM. It's Dr. Williams who suffered the pan, denigrated the pan, disrespected the pan. But these editorials just like to pretend that history didn't happen. Newsday continued. But even so, there's a lot more that needs to be done to remove the albatross of neglect from around the neck of the cornerstone of our culture. Yes, the albatross and the yoke around the neck of the steel pan is the PNM. When Kamala Persad-Bissessar was there was more investment in the steel pan, in entrepreneurship, in playing, in tuning, in factories, in education, in science, in technology, at UTT, across the board, at MIC, NESC. That's the investment that was there. Rowley comes in and cuts everything, including prize money for pan players, including a little stipend. And they say he built something for Despers without a policy. So yes, I love Despers and I'm happy for Despers. But what about the 350 other pan yards across the country? Then how can they apply for what? What's the policy? How do they get that 14 to $20 million to invest in the pan? Pan is oppressed now even for emancipation. The Pan Steel Parade, the Eastern Main Road, East-West Corridor had to be cancelled because of lack of funding from the PNM. And pan is a black man. Yes, we have some Indian who play it and think Trinbagonian. Yes, we have great arrangers and so on. But in the main, it is an African thing. A Trinbagonian, beautiful instrument. But the PNM oppress it, and then you come to tell me PNM, black man must vote for PNM, black man must vote for the oppressor, black man must vote against themselves. Are you all serious? I'm a logical thinker. Please help me understand. Because facts are facts, history is fact. And the pan has been and continues to be oppressed and neglected, denigrated, and treated like a thrown away prodigal son of the PNM. Not one monument for our people. Let me read this on this Emancipation Day. Activist Springer, Emancipation Time, and Afro-Trinis still unrepresented. But wait, I thought the PNM and the Black Man Party, but they represented since 1956. 30 years unfettered. Africans were represented because PNM is African. Isn't that so? Isn't that what you tell me, Rowley? You tell me vote for you because you black. And Rowley? A tunnel and dungeon which are suspected to have been built for slaves working the Orange Grove Sugar Estate have been brought to light. Speaking yesterday during a tour of the site located on the compound of HCL Home Construction Limited, Property Management, Orange Grove Road, Tacarigua, formerly the Burnley Estate in the era of slavery, playwright and activist Pearl Ntu Springer called for more recognition to be given to African heritage across the country. Although there are sites like the Yoruba Village Monument, Springer said there's nothing official. She said she was concerned that even after the declaration of the International Decade for the People of African Descent, 2015 to 2024, by the United Nations General Assembly, not much has been done to recognize Africans in the country. 2015 to 2024. PNM government 2015 to now 2023 with 1 year to go. And Ms. Springer says not much has been done to recognize Africans in the country. That means Rowley and his PNM have done nothing to recognize African and African history and African culture, religion, arts, and music going forward, just like Dr. Williams ignored it since 1956. It's a continuing trend and a policy. That's who the PNM is. So please don't tell me PNM is African. Don't say that. PNM has oppressed African people as much as the colonial masters, if not more, because they had more resources, they had more oil, more gas, more wealth, more milk and honey, and they still oppress the people. In this emancipation time, says Ntu Springer, it is the right time to pay attention because in this society, There's not one monument for African people. In this emancipation time, there is nothing about our history in the education. I can't even read that anymore. I'm sick of the PNM. Wake up. You want to see more? Imagine we are celebrating and inviting an African king, royalty here. And yet the PNM decides to oppress people. The African king does not want and does not believe in the oppression of African people. But look at it. Look at the PNM, the elitists. The rich must get richer. The poor can't make a little hustle. PNM is pain. Watch it for yourself. Don't take my word for it or run it at you.
Hello, Trinidad and Tobago. We are at the Savannah at present, where the police have closed down all sales of all vendors because they are asking all patrons of the Savannah to participate in the Emancipation Village, where you have to pay $40 to enter. And the patrons here who are supporting the small vendors are saying that $40 could buy them their dinner. So, I get your face. Good night, guys. So the city police has closed down all sales. What do you think? What is going to happen to all the people?
City police, PNM police, oppressing black people while celebrating Emancipation Day. I don't understand if you all don't understand, you know. The PNM city police oppressing poor black people, trying to make money to promote, they say, the emancipation celebration. The real celebration of emancipation is opportunity, belief, and the freedom to achieve and go where your heart desires and your talent can take you. But not the PNM. You must celebrate emancipation how we say to celebrate. Stop selling, make no money, send police to oppress you, only buy over there. That sounds like emancipation to you. Look at this now. Even in cricket. Well, the PNM in charge of that, but I mean, if you're in the government, you should have some discussion. Imagine a man want to sell nuts in the cricket where hardly anybody went anyway, and he had to pay as him PNM Basarat and them $500 to go and sell nuts. Right? Now they sell the nuts at about $7 now. May know what they're selling in that after you pay $500. Alright? So if you selling $5 bag, he had to sell 100 bag before he even begin to think about breaking even. And I ain't talk about the transportation. I ain't talk about the cost of the nuts he had. I ain't talk about how much diesel he put in the car. If he had to buy a ticket to come in on top of this, all of that. But you had to sell 100 bag of nuts to break even. That is wickedness. That is oppressive, boy. Move that. And then Rowley put on the dashiki. He didn't wear it on the golf course. And he says he urges citizens to unite despite differences. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley has called on members of the public to celebrate TNT's melting pot of culture, to forge what he called a political consensus or risk an explosion of discontent. Hey, there is an explosion of discontent, and all the groups are uniting because you have been unmasked. There's an explosion of discontent against you, Rowley. You're the most divisive, anti-unity human being in Trinidad and Tobago. Every time you speak, you spew hate. You spew divisiveness. Your policies are geographic discrimination, racial discrimination in COVID, religious discrimination against the Hindu community with your COVID policy against open fire cremation, your attack on doubles, your attack on the East Indian community, your nasty racist comments about crime and Kamala's stand your ground to protect law-abiding citizens. Your attempt to turn that into a divisive racial issue is sickening. Across this country, wherever I walk, People have a hatred for you, Rowley. They're coming for you. So you don't tell the people are united. Today I going to eat doubles, and it's more African than anybody eating the Indian doubles, because that's how we live and we love. We don't care. It's Emancipation Day and African eating doubles. You are the divisive one, Rowley. You and your red couch. There's only unity on the red couch for you to get a minister to lie down there, to get a walk. The people are united against you. August 14th, you will get it in places you never thought you will get it. And the general election, you will get it all across Trinidad and Tobago. Tobago has already rejected you. And Tobagonians don't reject Tobagonians just so. They have to really know that you are beyond redemption to reject you. Imagine, I reading a correction in a newspaper, Archie. I couldn't believe it. I remember this mass media and so on. For example, I have about 100 examples. I'll just give you one. I'm running out of time. Back when Kamala Persad-Bissessar was Prime Minister and the OPVs were not functioning, and the government gave them time to try and fix the radar, locking, firing arms system, the shooting system, the warship system, and it couldn't fix. It was malfunctioning. Attorney General Anil Logan went to arbitration and got back for the people of Trinidad and Tobago $1.2 billion. Kamala Persad-Bissessar then went to purchase 12 Dayman vessels to patrol our coastline and keep us safe and stop from drugs, human trafficking, and guns from coming in. The Guardian newspaper printed a full front page headline: government loses 1.2 billion. Totally false, totally wrong, totally mischievous, totally malicious. They never corrected that up to now. It's about 10 years later. They never ever corrected that as a front page. So when I see this thing, correction, I say, well, what is this? Newspapers just do that. The Prime Minister recently stated that the commissions of inquiry are expensive undertakings in remarks he made about the Paria Commission. He never said he rejected complaints that the cost of the Paria inquiry were too high, as reported in the Sunday Newsday on July 30th. Oh gosh, you all made a little mistake on Row, and you have to say sorry. Listen to me. You all could be afraid of Rowley, how much you want that vindictive, wicked bully. The people are coming out finger by finger, from Shagarama straight up to Matlot, down the center, Shaguana, Scuva, down into Mayaro, Manzanilla, across in San Fernando, down into Siparia, Princeton, Pinal-Debe, and into Point Fortin, Labre, across this country. People are sick of Rowley and the PNM. And when we talking about sick, put up Convent Girl. Convent Girl and Davlin Thomas, the man who is in charge of the medical system, the healthcare system in Trinidad and Tobago. Let me tell you something. Our hospitals are not only out of resources, are out of medicine, out of ability to serve the people because of the lack of investment by Rowley and these two fools here. Junior doctors are being abused and they are working shifts. After 24 hours, they still have to go on call and then go and assist in surgeries when they are tired. Senior doctors are bullying junior doctors who are underpaid and underappreciated in the healthcare system as we speak. And these two have no care. If the doctors are not treated properly and respected, and the nurses and the healthcare workers, how can they give the citizens service? We are seeing that they have late payments for doctors. Imagine that. Some doctors getting paid 6 to 8 weeks late. The lighting is horrible. Imagine having to draw blood, look for a vein, give injection, do things, even surgery, minor surgery, major surgery, and 80% of the lights in the hospital in Mount Hope not working. 80% of the lights are not working. Doctors using torchlight to draw blood from our citizens. And that man Rowley telling you about the priorities that he has. 44 patients per junior doctor right now. Did you hear what I said? 44 patients per junior doctor. That is a recipe for disaster, a recipe for mistakes, errors, and in healthcare, errors cost lives. No forms to fill out. Imagine the doctors have to print their own forms because there's no paper, no printer in the hospital for them to print forms, medical forms and so on. The doctors have to dip in their own pocket and they're not being reimbursed by these two fools. Doctors spend money on their printers. The elevators not working in the hospital. The generators don't work. So when the electricity go with the minister man, the generators not functioning and not kicking in. Imagine people in ICU and HDU and the electricity go, no generator. Then they have to transport patients in ICU. You know, you have tube all down your throat. You think you clinging on the light. Boop, PNM, no lights. They have to take you, move you, unhook you, put you in an ambulance, carry you somewhere, plug you back in and pull back to you. That's what our healthcare system is. No water for scrub. You know, all you do is watch Grey's Anatomy and thing. Surgeons have to go through a process and they have to go for about 3 minutes and scrub so that the hand, all the germs out with this brown kind of cleanser thing and water, and they have to wash and so on. No water. Doctors have to use alcohol for scrub down. In the health system run by convent girl Rowley and this Davlin Thomas, who should be putting on playing Queen's Hall. I'm not joking, you know. I'm telling all you. That is what is taking place. And this fool, convent girl, says, what he says, Archie? We're number one in the world, are we? Did he really say that you have it? If you don't have it, no big thing, you know, because people know it. But if you have it, you could fling it. Number one in the world. Those are just some of the woes that I have heard. And I went down to the hospital and saw with my own 2 eyes, because I had to pay a little visit there to see somebody. The nurses are under pressure. Junior doctors are crying out and bawling out. Senior doctors kind of remove themselves and they dumping the load on the junior doctors. Overwork.
In the world, number one in the world, number one in the world, number one in the world.
Yeah, number one in the world, number one dotish in the world. Ethical Council chides PNM campaign on 2 counts. Yes, PNM council, candidates for councillor telling you about grants. You could move them to telling you about grants and this and so on. And the council, ethics council, comes out and says that is horrendous. That's illegal. And Erla, are you investigating that? You're investigating an audio tape where you say somebody get a job, and if they write that they like the PDP or whatever the new party is now, or they like Farley and they like the policies of the THA and so on, that's illegal. There's nothing illegal about that. What's the crime you went to grab THA officials' devices on? And are you investigating this crime with PNM candidates telling people that they could come to get access to government grants? A candidate who has not been duly elected or sworn in anywhere and has no authority so to do, to use and take state resources? Really? I haven't done anything wrong, says a PNM candidate. PNM local candidate for Mayaro, whatever his name, was chastised by UNC. Stewart's defense followed a complaint by the UNC. These included grants of food cards, house wiring, minor house repairs, and so on. The council said that the PNM had committed 2 breaches of the Code of Ethical Political Conduct. However, speaking to the Guardian by phone, the PNM man said, he was simply posting information on his Facebook page, as he usually does, about grants and other opportunities. But them PNM start up like Rowley just go to the whole country and say, hey, come here, boy. You look like a good liar. Come, you. Let me see in the eye. One liar could tell another liar. And that is the screening process for the PNM, you know. Rowley does choose only liars. Rowley labels the Ethics Council bias. Chairman Dr. Raghunath rubbishes claim. It's good for your Bishnu Raghunath because you are biased. You're biased towards Rowley, and it's good for all of y'all who always allow Rowley to do what he want. And anything the UNC say, you jump down UNC throat and so on. Whenever Rowley do anything disgusting, nasty, misogynistic, dishonest, lying, racist, divisive statement, all you want to say nothing. The one time that you have to say something and you're forced to say it, Rowley jump down and attack you all and bully you, it is good for you, because had you been doing your job properly, fairly, with equity, with balance, with ethics, you would not have given that tyrannical, oppressive dictator the power so to do. And imagine Rowley talking about ethics. Rowley, a school teacher who uses power position to get pum-pum from a girl of school age. Rowley, who in his house where his wife used to live, she's staying somewhere else, staying out one Woodbrook, where you're staying, put a place where you walk down at steps, pass Tree Dog, pass a parrot, open the dungeon office door and go on the red couch. And that's where he does his interviews for ministerial position, work at office of the Prime Minister, outside postings. That's where Rowley does his interviews. Fisherman wife who end up in Victoria Keys and get housing, that's what he does. Imagine he talking about ethics. Mr. Emailgate, pathological liar, is talking ethics. Mr. Renaissance, Mr. Landate, Mr. Greenvale, Mr. Delsey Gate, Mr. Nelson Gate, talking ethics. Mr. Pum Pum Gate, what's he? Talking ethics. Village Ram. Yes. I forget Miss 17-year-old too. OWTU's members help UNC candidate drum up support in the South. Well, it's about time. It's about time. Everybody must unite. Yes, OWTU. You made errors, grave errors in believing Rowley and the PNM. You suffer this country. You have us in this mess. You need to get us out. That's all I can say. Ansel Roger and to all the unions, you all need to get us out. Because when you had a prime minister who'd listen, even though you drag her mannequin through the streets, she don't care. She back broad, she's strong. She still listened. She cared. She gave back pay. She did wage negotiations, 143 wage negotiations. She treated labor with respect. Never talked down to labor, never abused labor, even though you all abused her, even though some of you all attacked her in the most vile manner. She didn't return that. She returned with kindness and love and with respect and with real, meaningful, sustainable increases in pay for the jobs being done by workers. Kamala Prasad Bisasa loves and respects workers. So that's just the truth. Y'all heard, you made a mistake. You went with the Obia man from Tobago, and that's what you get. So yes, help not only one can, help all the UNC candidates, help all the NTA candidates, and all labor unions supposed to help, because that's what it's about. Who will listen to you, who will respect you, who will try to meet you halfway. That's what negotiation is. You all want to choose Rowley and Imbot, really? On what basis? I see the Express have a picture. You want she order something for you, the comment on the Daily Express, a picture of Foster Cummins sitting down next to Bundles, and Bundles' face creased. She frowned, she worried, she reading the phone, right? And Foster, when they put, you want she order something for you? No, Foster, that is not what's going on. It's really Rowley messaging Bundles on the phone here. Oh gosh, I blocking the picture, take me out now. You can take me, I want this, they are seeing the phone, I blocking the phone, let me move this way. Oh, let's see the phone there? Right, let me stay there. But you know, it's really Rowley messaging. Hey, Rowley. Hey, girl, if you horn me with he again, you're fired, eh? Hey, the second message Rowley sent to Bundles. My red couch better than he red couch, eh, girl? Remember that. And the third message Rowley sending on that phone to Bundles. Girl, I'm sorry. I really like your bundles, eh? It's not fake. Oh Lord, but they are telling you across the country, the citizens saying, PNM must go, run it out, chill. Let me hear my brother.
Yeah, good day, Trinantic. I'll share a video just now. Also might be 14 to see. And while I do use obscene, the youth man had all the points on point, full 100. These politicians, something really wrong with it. Rowley, you and your whole cabinet had a go. Marva, Stewart, Smallpin, Farris, Penny, all had to go. You see, it's too long we have politicians and not serving the people in this country, boy. All they run this country down to the ground, boy. And this country too hard. Trinidad they go after local election. Current going and raise. All they get the S already. Utilities going and raise. This man want to bring property tax on all. They're not voting on this, boy. I don't want to see PNM again in front of my place at all. PNM gots to go.
PNM gots to go. And Rowley, I have some questions for you, Rowley. Rowley, this watch you're wearing. What is this watch you're wearing here, Rowley? What type of watch is that, Rowley? How much does that watch cost, Rowley? Rowley, actually put up the next one. Let me see, because he's wearing that fancy watch. Rowley, is this a Richard Mille watch? The average price for a Richard Mille timepiece is around 200,000 US. Getting the cheapest Richard Mille watch like the RM016 will cost you at least 85,000 US. It has a unique feature and comes in rose, gold, and titanium. Show the other pictures now. Rowley, is this a Richard Mille? Is that what you're wearing there, Rowley? And if it is, Rowley, now if it's fake, come and tell us, Rowley, because you say you don't like fake thing. If it's fake, come and say it's fake. And when you bring it, let the police check it. You see? Bring it to Erla, bring it to the police, bring it to the Integrity Commission if it's fake, right, Rowley? But if it's a real one, Rowley, you have to show the bill, Rowley. How much you paid for it? Did you buy it with your credit card? How much, where did you pay it from? From which account, Rowley? Rowley, did you declare that watch on your Integrity in Public Life Act forms? These are very serious things. Was that a gift given to you, Rowley? Because if it was a gift given to you, anything over 2,000 or 5,000 TT, you have to declare on your Integrity in Public Life Act form. Rowley, at your current salary for being a prime minister, how were you able to purchase a $200,000 US watch if that is not a fake watch? Rowley, please answer these questions. These are very serious questions. And Erla and the Integrity Commission, you all are the ones supposed to go and answer. Rowley, how long did you have that watch? Rowley, where did that watch come from? Rowley, did you buy it? Was it a gift? Is it fake? Is it real? How much is it? Which one is it? Rowley, you come out to show off. You come out to show off, Rowley. Well, the Integrity Commission, all you have a next investigation. Because that's an asset. And the price says, if it's not a fake thing you have. So you have to get the watch, you have to check it, you have to send it for verification. If it's fake and it's less than 5,000 TT or less than 2,000, wherever is the limit now, well, all right. But if it's real, Rowley, you have some serious questions to answer. You want to show off on gallery with your watch? All right, Rowley. Rowley said the whistleblower lied on him. Well, Rowley, if the whistleblower lied on you, he told the truth on Valley. Because you know the law don't work so. You can't be a liar one day and a truth teller next day. Hey, Rowley, you're going to send pre-action protocol. Rowley. PM shocked over criminals in politics. Rowley, we are shocked at you in politics. And what is a criminal? Because we operate under innocent until proven guilty. And if someone is charged, are they criminal? What about if somebody controls the police and handpicks their own commissioner of police so that their criminal conduct is not punished under the law? And what about if this person went to the police service commission, went to the president and got the chairperson of the police service commission to withdraw a list so that he could influence who he selected? And then he had many actions that police service commission and indemnity, paying a criminal, a witness in a criminal matter, millions of dollars that can be deemed to be a bribe and so on. If this person had all of these things, but they control the commissioner of police, is that person a criminal or not a criminal because the commissioner of police failed to act? I want to know what's the definition of a criminal. And then you have Faris Al-Rawi, a tight pants, don't, this one here, don't give in to bribe. Faris Al-Rawi, Newsday, page 19, section A. Al-Rawi tells municipal cops, don't give in to bribery. As the first all-male batch of municipal police graduated on Wednesday, Rural Development and Local Government Minister, the Minister Fuya, I added in that, Minister Faris Al-Rawi urged them to respect women and to be honest. Why you don't tell that to Rowley and to Rowley friend Skerrett? The graduation ceremony occurred at the Southern Academy for the Arts, right? Al-Rawi, the featured speaker, emphasized the importance of properly balanced service. As the men start their careers, keep your head up. With Trinidad and Tobago will try to test you with bribery, with temptation, and you need to be very scrupulous as cameras are always on you. You are in a digital world and you will be immortalized digitally. Al-Rawi said there were memes of him in every different form. Boy, you real toting, boy. So Al-Rawi, you telling the boys and them, just work for your salary, don't subscribe to bribery and so on. What about recusals? What about going into a cabinet, swearing to do the people's work, and then going to enrich yourself with your brethren, your teammates? You step out the room and they give you 23 million by 246, 47 million and 38 million and thing like that. What do you call that? What about dealing and signing an indemnity with a witness against UNC opponents and paying him exorbitant fees and fees owed and so on? What you call that? You call that bribery, inducement, misbehavior in public office? What you call that? What about selling 2 Porsche, going in the parliament and talking about the number plate of one that you sold to an next fella, but you didn't really talk about the one that your lawyer for your witness in the criminal matter who was paid by you money to go and lie on 2 political opponents? What you describe that? All your people fast and out of place to go and talk to people. The municipal police should have locked you up. Government's costly legal errors. Move that fool now. Once again, the public faces the risk of financial liability resulting from the government's failure to act on a timely basis. In this case, the officials to be held accountable are the Minister of National Security and the Attorney General as legal advisor to the Cabinet. Both must explain why the state neglected for months to legally declare the Shagaramas Defense Force heliport a detention center until prompted to do so by the ruling of Justice Avison Quinlan Williams. On Monday, the judge declared that a group of Venezuelans being held there were illegally detained since the facility was not a legally designated immigration detention center. Within hours, National Security Minister Fitzgerald Hines managed to accomplish what he had failed to do over the 3 months since the heliport stopped being a designated COVID-19 quarantine center for illegal migrants. He dashed off a letter informing the Chief of Defense Staff that as of 12 a.m. on Tuesday, the heliport had been declared an immigration detention center under the Immigration Act. On Wednesday, the minister, having regularized the detention of illegal migrants at the heliport, his attorneys attempted to have the court apply it retroactively in the case of Venezuelan detainee Sami Tariq Benitez, who had challenged his detention. Right? This is the PNM, procurement. Spend your money on thief, then come in the parliament and legitimize the legalized thieving. Right? That's what they do. Now, illegal detention, they're trying to go by the court retroactive. The court said we don't know retroactive thing. The man was detained, he was detained there illegally and so on. And now you, the taxpayers, will have to pay. The state must deliver justice, not inhumane detention, says the Guardian. But now you're talking about that? When the United National Congress and Anil on douglAR politics was talking about the case when Kamala said it was murder of the baby Yaelvis Saravia, the 2-year-old whose brains were splattered by our Coast Guard when they shot illegally at unarmed migrants. And we said, Kamala said, we must be a country of the rule of law. Those who have great power must act with great restraint, great discipline, and uphold the tenets of the law. You all never supported Kamala. You all, we said that when you treat human beings like that, you are sending a message that they are below human status, that they must be and can be abused and treated without the rule of law. Kamala said that is wrong. We are signatory to the UN Charter, and we must support and uphold the rights of migrants just like everybody else and treat them with love and respect. That's what Kamala was saying. You didn't come and write, yes, Kamala, we agree. PNM, all your security, you all must investigate what happened in the case about Yaelvi Sarabia. What has been done? Now you see illegal detention, accusations and allegations of women being raped there and so on, and people treated in a manner that is below, and from people, from us, descendants of African slaves and indentured laborers, people who were abused, battered and tortured. We now, through the PNM, promoting, defending and keeping secret the abuse of migrants. And now, Guardian, you're talking about the PNM should treat migrants with humanity? What about the children in the Judith Jones report? What about the humanity there? They're still under the care of the rapists, the batterers, the buggerers, the nasty, wicked, evil people for going on 2 years. Guardian, Express, Newsday, that's okay. The PNM is doing a great job. Spent shells with TTPS markings at murder scene. Canon Nolly Clark says, put aside politics and deal with crime. Canon Nolly Clark, your politics shows anybody who says, put aside politics, meaning the opposition, put aside politics and help to fight crime, is a